We have trying to find the rate of change. So this formula is the same as it was on 52. You take your new amount minus your old amount and then divide it by the old amount. So our new amount is that 14,550. It used to be 12,000. So has there been an increase or a decrease in sales of CDs? It was that, now it's that. It increased. Okay, so we should get a positive rate of change. Divided by the old, so 12,000 again. Which would be what? 2,550. That's the difference. That's how much it increased. Divided by 12,000. What does that come out? 0.2125 is your decimal form. We need to change that into percent because we're looking for percent rate of change. Rate of change is a percent. So we get 21.25% as our rate of change. On 54, 55, and 56, we're going to use the slope formula. All we have to do is plug the appropriate numbers into the appropriate spots. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this 9 over here is our second y value. 0 is our first y value. -4 is our second x value. This -4 is our first x value. So we put those in, we get 9 minus 0 over, and be careful with this part. We get -4 minus another -4. So that bit, what's 9 minus 0? And -4 minus -4. Very good, because that changes to a -4 plus 4. And what happens when you divide by 0? What do you get? Nope. Undefined. You get an error on your calculator. And any vertical line is parallel to other vertical lines, so they all have an undefined slope. These two things will always be the same. The slope and the parallel slopes will always be the same. The perpendicular slope, what's perpendicular to a vertical line? Perpendicular slope would be a horizontal line, and a horizontal line has a 0 slope. All right, number 55. We got 3, which is our second y value, minus -3, which is our first y value, divided by 2, minus, there's our second x value, -8 is our first x value. We get 3 minus -3, which is 3 plus 3, which is 6. 2 minus -8, which is 2 plus 8, which is 10. And 6 over 10, both of them divisible by 2, reduces to 3/5. And these two things will always be the same. That's also 3/5. What's a perpendicular to 3/5? Do you remember how to do perpendicular?
Yes.
Flip and switch. And what do you get? Flip, and if that one's positive, that'll be negative. You get 3 minus -3 on top, 3 minus 1 on bottom. 3 minus -3 is the same as 3 plus 3, which is 6. 3 minus 1 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Parallel to 3?
Oh, yeah.
Here's other things that have a 3. Perpendicular to 3. You flip it. What's the flip of 3? 1/3. And positive changes to a negative. We got to find the value of r. This point, or this line goes through the point -4,8, and it has a slope of 2/3. We need to find the equation of that line. So we're going to use the point slope form since we know a point and we know the slope. Y minus 8 is equal to 2/3 x minus negative 4. I'll go ahead and change that to x plus 4. Okay, when I distribute the 2/3, I have to deal with fractions for a little bit. It was a minus negative 4, so it changed to a plus. Changed to positive. I get 2/3 x plus 8/3. Now I have to add 8 to both sides. 8 is the same as 24 over 3. So that's what I'm going to have to add over here because I have to have a common denominator. So I get the equation y equals 2/3 x plus 32 over 3. So it's a little messy for a few minutes. Now, that's the equation we need. Here's the point, r negative 6. So our y value is negative 6 equals 2/3. Our x value is going to be r, I'm going to call it r, plus 32 over 3. Now we have to add 6 to both sides right now. So we're not going to add 6. We're going to subtract 32 over 3. Subtract 32 over 3. So negative 6 as with a denominator 3 is going to be 18 over 3. So I get a big number here for a minute. I get negative 18 over 3 minus 32 over 3, which comes out to negative 50 over 3. So it gets a little messy for a minute. I get negative 50 over 3 equals 2/3 r. That cancels. Now, to get r by itself, this is where it comes back to normal. I multiply by 3 over 2 on both sides. I know, I'm running out of room myself. The 3's cancel, and I'm left with negative 50 over 2, which is what? Yeah. 25, negative 25. So r is negative 25. Boy, I about didn't have room for all that. Number 58, y equals 4x. So since there is no plus b, this line is going to go through the origin. It's going to go through 0, 0. And it's going to have a 4 slope. 4 is the same as 4 over 1. So that's our rise, and that's our run. So we go up 4 over 1. We go up 4 over 1 again. Oh, can't go any farther, so let's go down 4 over 1. Down 4 again. Over 1. And then our line will look something like that, but hopefully yours will be a lot straighter. Same thing with 59. There is no b. Our b is 0. So our slope is negative 1/2, and b is 0. So we're going to go through the origin again. This time it's going to be a negative rise of 1, run of 2, down 1, over 2 this way. It's going to do something like this. You go up 1 over 2, but this line has to have a negative decreasing slope because our slope is negative 2. So if you got 27 miles in 9 hours, how far could you go in 12 hours? How far could you go in 12? So you set up the proportion, 27 over 9 equals x over 12. 27 times 12 is going to be equal to 9x, and then you'll divide by 9. And x would be what? You get 36. So it'll be 36 what? 36 miles. You go 36 miles in 12 hours. If you went 27 and 9, you can estimate that would proportion out to be in 36 if you went for 12. So you set up the proportion, 8 ounces to 10, how many to 15? cross multiply again. 8 times 15 is equal to 10x, then divide by 10. So x would be 8 times 15 over 10, which is 12. So you need 12 ounces if you want to stretch it to 15 centimeters. Up 3 over 4. You started your y-intercept, and you continue on. Done. In time. When you get the equation, you'd write y equals m, which is negative 3/4. It's another 4. X plus b, which is 3. Number 63, it has a slope of 1/4 and a y-intercept at the origin. It wants to know what's the equation. So we're going to go m, which is our slope, is 1/4. B, if it's at the origin, what's our b? 0. So y equals 1/4 x plus 0. I'm not going to write the plus 0. That's my equation. Looking at the equation at the right, we need to, in order to write the equation for it, we need to know what the slope is and the y-intercept. Here are some good points that are on the line. And so to follow those patterns of dots, the slope is going to be 2 over 3 every time. Rise 2, run 3 every single time. The y-intercept, negative 2. So your equation would be 2/3 x minus 2. 5, if we're going to write the equation for the parent function of linear equations, the linear parent function, it has a 1 slope and a y-intercept at the origin, so it's just y equals x. We're going to graph the parent function. There's its y-intercept at 0, and it's got a 1 slope, so it does that. It's the simplest one there is. All right, number 67, it says it has a slope of 1/3 and passes through the point negative 2/8. What problem do you see here? So negative 2/8 doesn't fit if it goes by 1s. I'm just going to go by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8. And then the same thing going negative. So then negative 2/8 would actually be right here. And if it has a 1/3 slope, I got to go down 1. It's a rise of 1, run of 3. So I'm going to have to go down. Go down 1 means a half a block. Over 3 means a block and a half. Now do it again. Down 1, over 3. Down 1. And then up 1 is a half a block. Over 3 is a block and a half. Up 1, over 3. So there's my equation. Now, where does it cross the y-axis? So that's kind of hard to read where that's going to cross the y-axis now that I went by 2s. It doesn't cross. It might be crossing at 9. I'm not sure. So to be on the safe side, let's use point slope form and plug in these numbers. And when I distribute, I get y minus 8 is equal to 1/3 x plus 2/3. And then I need to add 8 to both sides. Now when I add 8 over here, I'm going to go ahead and get a common denominator. So instead of adding what looks like an 8, I'm going to add a 24 over 3, which is the same thing as 8, but now I have a common denominator. That cancels, so y is equal to 1/3 x plus 26 over 3. Okay, 68 might be a little bit easier. I think these points will actually fit. -1, -2 is one of the points, and 3, 4 is the other point. Okay, so what's the, if I want to draw a line through it, is it going to go somewhere through something nice on my y-axis. It doesn't look like it. The slope of this line, if I use the slope formula, would be 4 minus negative 2, or 4 plus 2, over 3 minus negative 1, or 3 plus 1, which would be 6 over 4. So it has a slope of 3 halves. So if I go up 3 and over 2, that's the down 3 over 2. That's the, I have some other points on the line. So when I'm following this, it's not going to cross at something, well, I'm not sure what that is. I can kind of estimate that, but it may be hard for y'all to estimate what that would be. Okay, so what we might need to do is go ahead and use the point slope form to figure that out. So y equals, or y minus 4 is equal to 3 halves x minus 3. Y minus 4 is equal to 3 halves x minus 3 times 3 is 9 over 2. Add 4 to both sides. Instead of adding 4, I'm going to add 8 over 2, which is the same thing as 4. So those cancel, and I get y equals 3 halves x, and negative 9 over 2 plus 8 over 2 is what? Negative 1/2. A negative 9 over 2 and a positive 8. Negative 9 plus 8 is negative 1 over 2. So if we follow this pattern, go something like that, maybe a little bit steeper than that, somewhere in here. Oh, but we're at hour and 10 minutes, which is 70. Did you figure that out? Hour and 10 minutes, which is 70. So it'd be somewhere around here. That'd be 90, 100, 110, 120. I say somewhere between 110 and 120. We'll call it 115. Two lines are parallel. What do you know about how they are related? The same slope, different y-intercept. If two lines are perpendicular, what do you know about how they are related? Their slopes are negative reciprocals, which means A over B is perpendicular to a negative B over A. It's the symbol for perpendicular. Line has a slope of negative 2. What is the slope of any line perpendicular to Q? Negative 2 be perpendicular to a, flip it, and if it's negative, it better stay positive. All right, so if it's perpendicular to this graph, this line has a slope of negative 3 over 2. That's going to be perpendicular to a slope of positive 2 over 3. So it needs to have this slope, and it needs to go through that point slope form, y minus negative 2, y plus 2, equals m x minus x1. This would be y plus 2 is equal to 2/3 x minus 2 times 3 is 6, divided by 3 is 3, right? No, 2. Add 2 to both sides. Y equals 2/3 x plus 0. I think. Oh, I did. I messed up. Subtract 2, subtract 2. Thought that looked wrong. Minus 2, y equals 2/3 x minus 4. How about that? Bonus point for the class. So the B part of this question, it wants the line parallel to that graph. So if that one had a slope of negative 3 over 2, then the parallel one will also have a slope of negative 3 over 2. And it needs to go through that point. So again, we go through the point slope form. Y minus negative 2, so y plus 2, is equal to 3 over 2 negative x minus 3. So y plus 2 is equal to negative 3 over 2x plus 9 over 2. The negative times a negative would be a positive. Add 2 to both sides. Instead of adding 2, I'm going to add 4 over 2. Oh, I caught it, I caught it, I caught it. Nope, nope, I caught it. I caught it before you said something. Y equals negative 3 over 2x minus 5 over 2. So it's supposed to be a positive 5 over 2. The top one worked. Let's try the bottom one. 3 times 1 minus 7 times 5. Is that equal to 32? That's 3 minus 35. Is that equal to 32?
No.
Any lesser mortal would have thought that that would be true, but not you guys. It's wrong. So, no. All right, 74. 2 times 3 plus negative 2. Is that equal to 4? That's 6 minus 2. Yes. So that one checks out. Let's try the bottom one. 3 times negative 2. Is that equal to 2 times 3 minus 12? That's negative 6. Is that equal to 6 minus 12? Yes.
Yes.
So yes, it is. This one is 3 negative 2 is a solution to that system of equations.
Yeah.
All right, number 76. We're going to use substitution. We've already got y by itself. So x plus 2 equals 8. So that gives us 2x plus 2 equals 8. So that means 2x is equal to 6. That means x is equal to 3. And if x is equal to 3, then y is equal to 3 plus 2, which is 5. That's a 5. Quickly, 75. Y equals negative 2x plus 3. We start at positive 3, go down 2 over 1. Okay. Then we do negative x minus 1. It's going to have a negative 1 slope. Right there is my point of intersection. So that's the point 4, negative 5. All right, now let's do number 77. We have x is equal to y minus 7, so we're going to substitute that in for x. 4 times y minus 7 instead of 4x plus 2y equals 2. That becomes 4y minus 28 plus 2y equals 2. So that becomes 6y, and when I add the 28 to both sides, I get 30. So y would be 6 times 5 is 30. And if y is 5, x would be 5 minus 7. So x would be negative 2.
Oh, yeah.